Hi, and thank you for joining me for this video. So what we have here is the Vango Venture 250 tent, a two-person, three-season tent with some impressive features. But best of all of this only costs around £70 to buy. Now, everything you get comes in this well-made storage bag. It's got a couple of compression straps. It's got a nice carry handle. On the front, you've got a little window which contains a little card which tells you a bit about the tent. On the back of the storage bag, it also gives you a little bit more information about the tent. Now, when it comes to the size of the storage bag, the length comes in at around 60 centimeters and the width comes in at around 20 centimeters. Now, the packed weight comes in at around 4.9 kilograms. So that's pretty heavy. So you're definitely not going to be using this tent for backpacking. But for general camping at a campsite, this is going to work really well. Or alternatively, you could use this tent for car or motorcycle overlanding. Now, inside your storage bag, you will get some setup instructions to help you set this tent up correctly. Now, a word on the storage bag. I really like the storage bag because it is classed as a fast pack storage bag because it has a really big opening. So it's going to make getting your tent out and then back in quick and easy. Now, everything will come rolled together and kept together with these little compression straps. Now, your inner tent is already connected to your outer fly, so that makes life nice and easy. Also, all your guy lines are already attached to your tent. You will then get some tent poles that come in their own storage bag, and then you will get some ground pegs that come in their own storage bag, and you will also get a little Vango repair kit should you need it. Now, you don't get a footprint with this tent, so it's always advisable to buy a footprint just to put underneath this tent, just to give it that extra layer of protection. Now, when it comes to setting up this tent, it's pretty straightforward and it shouldn't take you longer than around 10 to 15 minutes. Now, the first thing I would do if you've got one is just spread out your footprint. You then want to spread out your tent on the top. I would then take a couple of your ground pegs and right on the very end, the opposite side to where your door is going to be, I would just peg out those corners of the tent. It makes it a lot easier when you're setting up this tent. And also, if there should be a little bit of wind, at least your tent's not going to be blown around all over the show. Next thing you want to do is connect your tent poles. Now, you do have 3 of them, but this is where it's nice and easy because on your tent you have 3 tent pole sleeves. So you just individually slide each tent pole through one of these sleeves. Now, you won't make a mistake because your tent poles and your tent pole sleeves are color coded. So that'll make sure that you're threading through your tent poles into the correct tent pole sleeves. All you then have to do is just connect the ends of your tent poles to your tent. The next thing you want to do is grab yourself a couple of your ground pegs. You then want to grab the ends of your tent and simply just walk straight back and you'll see your tent pulls straight up. Now, if you hadn't have pegged out the far corners, this tent just would have pulled right across. Now, when you've pulled these out, simply just put a ground peg in each corner, then go around, put in the rest of your ground pegs, sort out your guy lines, double check all your pegs, tighten everything up, and you are done. So, first impressions of this tent and a few specs to get going. Well, I have to say I really like the look of this tent. Now, this tent is classed as a tunnel tent. You can purchase this tent here in the UK direct from Amazon for around £70. Now, this tent does come in a choice of 2 colors. I've gone for it in this treetops color, but you can also get it in a river color. Now, this tent, as mentioned, only takes about 10 to 15 minutes to set up. So that's not too bad. But what I really like about this tent is that the inner tent is already connected to the outer fly. So at least you know if it's raining, your inner tent isn't going to get wet when you're setting up your tent. Now, this tent is classed as a 3-season tent, so it's going to be ideal for the warmer times of the year. It's also classed as a 2-person tent. Now, this tent does have 2 doors. It has one each side of the vestibule, which we will have a look at. It also has a couple of windows at the front, which are ideal. They have these vacuum panels on, so you can leave them up for a little bit of privacy, or you can take them down so you can have a look outside your tent if it's raining, but also to let in a nice bit of light. You also get 4 air vents on this tent. You get 2 at each end, so that's going to encourage a nice bit of airflow, which in turn will help reduce any condensation. Now, when it comes to the fabrics on this tent, the outer fly is made from a Protex 70 denier polyester, and it has a hydrostatic head rating of 3000 millimeters. All the stitching on this tent is double stitched and it's tape sealed, so it is completely waterproof. When it comes to the bathtub style floor, that is made from PE, so it is a really durable waterproof floor, and it has a hydrostatic head rating of 6000 millimeters. Also, all the stitching is double stitched and tape sealed, so as I say, completely waterproof. Now, with this tent, as mentioned, you do get a couple of outer doors, which leads into a nice vestibule, which we'll have a look at. Now, when it comes to the outer doors, both doors over the zips, you do have a storm flap which protects the zips from bad weather. Now, the zips aren't premium zips, they're not YKK zips, but they are good quality zips, so you shouldn't get any sticking or snagging with the zips. Now, with both the doors, you can simply just unzip and roll each panel back and toggle them up. Now, one thing I did find strange, this door this side is just the door, but the door on the other side does have a mesh panel behind. So I find that a bit odd that they haven't put a mesh panel this side as well. But hey, it's what it is. Right, let's take a look inside this vestibule, and I have to say it's a really nice size vestibule. Now, the length comes in at around 170 centimeters. The width comes in at around 160 centimeters, and then the width at the narrowest part, which is right at the top of the vestibule, comes in at around 120 centimeters. The internal height also comes in at around 120 centimeters. Now, as you can see on the far side, I have rolled and toggled back the door, and you can clearly see you've got a nice mesh panel there. But on this side, as mentioned, you only get the door and no mesh panel. So obviously a cost cutting exercise. A shame, because 2 panels would have been nice. Now, you also get your 2 internal little windows. Now, they both have little panels on the back of them that can be done up, or you can simply just roll them down and toggle them up. So I really like that. Now, you don't get a lamp hook in this tent, but you have got a little loop here, so you could hook something up if you want. Now, you do get a couple of these bands at the front, which you can tighten up, and you also get 2 more of those bands here just before you get into your tent. Now, those are the Vango tension band system, which if you tighten up, it will help tighten up the outer of the tent when the weather starts getting a little bit nasty. Now, when it comes to the internal door of your sleeping area, it does have a little window at the top. It has a mesh window on the outside, and then you have a full fabric panel behind the mesh window. Now, you can unzip and roll and toggle up that back panel, so that in turn is going to help let in a nice bit of airflow, which will help reduce any condensation. But also, because you've got this mesh, it's going to help stop any insects from getting into your sleeping area. Or alternatively, you could just keep that back in panel zipped up to help keep it a bit darker inside your sleeping area. Now, when it comes to undoing the main door, you can simply just unzip it. Now, this door you can't roll and toggle back. However, it does have a pocket on the side at the bottom here that you can just shove the tent door in. So it makes it nice and easy. Now, when it comes to the internal size of the sleeping area, the length comes in at 210 centimeters, the width comes in at 140 centimeters, and then the internal height comes in at 110 centimeters. So not a bad size for 2 people. but plenty of room for one person. Now, you don't get any lamp hooks on the inside of your sleeping area. However, you do get a couple of little nylon loops. You probably can see that one right in the middle at the back on the roof, and then you get another one at the entrance. You also then get 6 storage pockets, 3 each side, and then at the back of the tent, as you can see, you get a couple of mesh windows which lead to the outer air vents. So yeah, not a bad size at all. So my final thoughts on this tent. Well, I have to say I really like this tent, and for around £70 I think it's brilliant. Now, it is not a premium tent, and when you look at the build quality, it's definitely not premium, but it is good quality. So I would say if you're looking for a basic 3-season tent that you're going to be using in the warmer times of the year, you're looking for a tent that's affordable, reliable and practical, this tent could definitely be an option for you. Now, if you like the look of this tent but think, do you know what, I wish I could get this tent, but it was a little bit more premium, a tent that I could use, say, as a 4-season tent. Well, Vango do pretty much the same tent, but they call it the Vango Omega 250. The only difference is the materials are more premium, and you could definitely use that tent as a 4-season tent. Now, I believe that tent comes in at around £200 plus. But as I said, this little tent, I think for the money, you just can't complain. And just for some basic camping at your local campsite, or perhaps a night or two away if you're car or motorcycle overlanding, this is absolutely fine. More than waterproof, more than stable enough, and easy enough to set up. But let me know what you think about this tent, and is this a tent you would consider buying? But in saying all that, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And lastly, don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.